Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson being joined by Kyle Crawford for another great show.
What is going on today, Merle?
I'm just checking you out.
Oh, you're checking me out?
Checking you out, brother.
Jenny was checking me out last night.
Wait, no, don't go there.
Oh, my bad.
That's sick.
My bad.
Sick, as our kids would say. Sick. Get a room. Get a room. What's your attitude like these days?
Anyways, back to the show.
So we usually talk a little bit before we record and just catch up, just see what's going on with each other. And you're just frustrated, aren't you?
I can be.
You're just frustrated.
I am task saturated.
No, that was great. So, this, again, we're going into generational differences here. Usually if I'm, crazy or whatever, I say, man, I'm really busy. Kyle comes in today and he says, you would say I'm task saturated. I'm like, what? Like task saturated? What happened to the old days of saying I'm busy?
I simply was saying that is a phrase that is being used nowadays.
Gosh.
I would never use that word. No, but back to your question. I've shared on the show before. I went through a kind of a rut, I guess you'd call it, a little rut in my walk.
A little rut in your strut.
Yeah, it wasn't too good. But where I was just kind of frustrated in multiple parts of life, mostly with work. And in talking to you, and we're going on the links, and
and you whip my butt. And
there is that, but just kind of talking. Yeah, so there are times when I get a little frustrated, Merle. I'm a very passionate man.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
So frustration comes along with it, I think.
Yeah, and frustration in and of itself is not just like anger. Anger is not a sin. It's what you do with it, right? It's what you do with your frustration or your anger that can lead us to places that we probably could get in trouble with. But
and I'm sure we're going to get into this a little bit today. But what do you think? Do you think there's a drastic difference between frustration and the actually like having a bad attitude towards things? Do you think those go hand in hand, or do you think those actually are a little bit different?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely, or there's connection there, but that frustration can be a frustration over an event that I feel powerless in. I'm not getting it where I want it to go, right? So whereas that just bad attitude is when you constantly or you're stuck in that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you carry it around with you. You kind of become the grumpy old man.
Gotcha. All right.
So I'm trying to pull you out of the grumpy old man. Okay.
Well, see, I was just trying to just go with the flow so this question could be avoided.
So, we always ask that question, and we always ask our kids this question around the dinner table. Like, if you could have one thing, that would make your life happy and content, what would it be?
One thing?
One thing.
I wrote a list. Let me get this list out here.
I'm the only way I'm going to be happy is if I get this and this and this and this. One thing.
I don't even know if I could narrow it down to just one thing, Merle.
Yeah. So you need a lot of things to be happy, huh?
Well, I think I need them to be happy. I think a really nice, like a nice Mustang would really just make me happy.
An older classic?
Oh, yeah. Like a 67, 68, 69. Oh, yeah.
So that, like you had that puppy and you would be complete as a man.
No, it would complete me. Or,
You're so shallow.
What about a new set of golf clubs would be really nice?
Wait. I said one thing.
What about I got a couple tools I really want?
And so I won't be happy until.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I get that, I'm like, well, then there's this other thing that it would complete me, right? So anyways, what about you? One thing, one singular.
If I could just have world peace.
The beauty pageant was not too long ago.
I know, yeah. I'm the same way. My mind bounces from thing to thing that I'm interested in or I desire in that moment. And, I will say that has really slowed down as I've gotten older. And I don't know exactly other than the idea that I guess you get so many things in life that you eventually, it's kind of like your parents when you try to buy them Christmas presents, you're like, I don't even know what to get them because they've already got what they want, right? And so I do think that has dwindled significantly with me. And I do, now I want to just say, like at where I'm at in my life, like I would be really happy if I just knew all of my kids, if I could look into the future and knew that all my kids were going to be in a good place, right? Like if I just knew with 100% certainty that all of them were going to be good and healthy and right with Christ and all that, I'd be like, okay, like I'm ready to, you can take me from this earth right now.
All right, well. That shows my selfish nature here. I'm thinking about self, and Merle's thinking about his kids.
No, and I don't want to come off as like the churchy answer, but I do think that's where. But I do think that life kicks you in the teeth so long that you finally go. I get your Mustang thing. I mean, I probably would have said like a Camaro or something like that, but like I've had those kinds of things. And I know what I've done with them, like big nothing burgers, right? Like they've sat and collected rust or whatever, and I've been like, well, that was kind of stupid. Like, not stupid because it quenched like a thirst for a second, but yeah.
And then there's like mechanical bills you got to pay for. And it's like, that gonna about to buy this stupid thing,
right? So it's like it's just another thing I got to take care of now. So I don't know, like I don't really, I'm not as much into that stuff, but it hasn't died in me. I just have to be honest, it hasn't died.
So anyway, what are we gonna talk about today? What are we gonna get into?
So we are going to talk about attitude,
okay,
and we're going to talk about attitude, but we're going to talk about really what's behind attitude, okay? Because if I just tell you need to get a different attitude, I really just sort of left the problem solving up to you, and you're going to start poking in the dark to see what you can figure out. And through a lot of the work that I do, I have been able to boil this down into exactly where a bad attitude comes from, exactly where it comes from, no matter who we are. And if I can start to understand how I'm into this situation, like what's actually going on, I have a much better chance of changing how I'm approaching attitude. Okay? So we're going to get into that. And so basically this show has an opportunity, honestly, without being silly or goofy, it could be life-changing if you wrap your head around this in terms of whether you're going to grow to be the grumpy old man or the happy old man.
I like it.
So take that, brother. Take that.
Well, let's get into our sponsor real quick, and then we'll jump back into the show. So, Strong Dads, we would like to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of us. Check them out, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's awesome decor, outdoor needs coming up in the springtime, hopefully sooner than later. Let them know we sent you down there, and we really do appreciate them.
All right. Strong Dads would also like to thank the Kramer's Beer House for coming alongside of our work here at Strong Dads. So especially during this season, go down and see Mark down on Route 128 outside of Cleves, Ohio at the Kramer's Beer House for a great meal, a great drink, and a great atmosphere.
So before we jumped into the show, you were talking about a show that you and Linda had done with Rock Solid Radio, so a little plug for Rock Solid Radio. Check them out as well. What kind of led to, I think you had said it kind of led to this topic a little bit. So what was that topic you guys talked about?
So we did a show on jealousy and envy. Okay. And as we were drilling down on the jealousy and envy, we do that topic because we deal with marriage a lot, and jealousy can be a big part in the marriage. So that's kind of why we were directed towards that topic. But as I started to boil down through that topic and really look at what's going on with couples, okay, we started to see that, man, there's a different seed at the base of all of this. And that's kind of what led us into this. And we're going to get into that whole idea of, what's behind that. But before we really start, before we just unleash into that topic or the concept, I'd ask you to look around, okay? Look around at the company you keep, whether between your wife what we call your inner circle, so your kind of immediate family, your middle circle, kind of the work people, and then just kind of like your neighborhood, your community, the outer circle, okay, and beyond, okay. Look around there and just see whether the people that you touch base with, that you do life with, do you tend to live in an area where there's a lot of attitude issues, where there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, like in your own home? Are you and your wife constantly kind of just banging heads with, nothing's ever right, we're always at each other's throat? Is there a lot of fight and discontent in the house between you and the kids? Right? Like if that's your environment, we have to first look at it and see, okay, where do I need to? Am I part of the factor here, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I the contributing factor? But I keep looking at everyone else.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, especially now we're in the Christmas season, right? We're in the holiday season, man. I think now, for whatever reason, probably mostly stress induced, right? I think the holidays can be very stressful for people. Just like you were saying, man, that inner circle. When you're in your home, like if there's tension in your home, could it be that stress, with this season right now that, I know guys that I work with are dealing with the same stuff I deal with, right? I mean, I think most guys can relate to this very idea of just being discontent with what's going on with whatever, again, I went through a season not too long ago where it was just like, man, everything seems to be just shit right now, right? I mean, and things just aren't going well, and you start to look at things, and it goes back to that attitude, man. I just had a bad attitude about, because then even though it's just my work life that's not going well, it trickles into my home life, and then I'm just not content being with my girls, right? And it starts to trickle in, and it's just where that frustration does turn into that long-term bad attitude.
Yeah. So then when you get tired of that, you start trying to quench it, right? Yeah. And so this is why I asked the question, okay, if you could just have that one thing, because that's how our brain starts to work. Yeah. Like we see just, okay, I'm going to try to manage this lack of happiness or discontent. I'm going to try to solve it or quench it a little bit. And so we start looking for one type things, right, to do it. And that's why I asked the question, like, okay, if you could just have one thing that would finally resolve, and make you, and that's where we go. Right, these little individual nuggets, and that's a dangerous place to get.
Very.
All right, because as we've talked a little bit about, and it's not that I'm any better or anything than you. I've just tried to quench more just because of my years, and I've been exhausted by quenching through the Mustangs, through the little things, and realized, like, I'm still thirsty.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going on here? Yeah. All right, like it doesn't seem to die.
Which is what I was saying. It's like, all right, so I get that Mustang, and then it's like, what is the next thing? And I think it really just stems back to, what's the one thing you think will make you happy?
Yeah.
Because honestly, you achieve that, or you get that promotion you're looking for, or you get that actual item you think you want, and it'll make you happy, and then you get it, and then again it just goes back to that idea that when you're in a rut, when you're in this mindset, this frustration that turns into a bad attitude, you're always going to be wanting and always going to be seeking something in addition, because what you had, that attitude, if you don't have an attitude or mindset change, even though you get that item or you get that promotion or you get the thing you're looking for, if your mindset's still the same, okay, now I have that item, I'm looking for something else because I think something else, because someone else has got that, to where the envy kind of comes in, like, oh, well, they got this and they look happy.
Right. Yeah, perfect. So here's kind of what I boiled it down to, right, in my work. So, it always helps when you can put terms on things when you're working with people so that you're not just stabbing at it, like, well, I think it's kind of this. The idea here is, okay, my problem here is I am working from a position of deficit. I'm in what I call, when I'm working with folks, I call it, you're in the deficit mindset, right? The deficit mindset is nothing new, right? There's nothing new. It's like grass is greener on the other side, okay? It's like, I'll never have enough. And so I'm working from the idea that I don't have what I want. I'm in a deficit. And that whole thing can start to create, like before, rather than a frustration, an attitude. All right? And if I don't grab that, if I don't understand it, it will be me constantly chasing my tail. And so our call out right now, first and foremost, is for us men to look at, like, am I a deficit mindset kind of guy? Like, is that how I roll? I never thought of myself as being the negative guy. I never thought of myself as being the guy full of that discontent. But am I a deficit mindset guy? And I've got some practices that you can look to say, am I that guy? Right? And all of us are going to fall probably at a level of guilty in this, all right? Guilty in terms of we actually do it. I started looking at how I spend my time, okay? When we were kids, you don't remember this. When we were kids, around this time of year, the holiday year, like sometime in October and stuff, you would get in the mail catalogs.
Oh, yeah.
All right? And I mean, like the Sears and Roebuck catalog was like that thick. It looked like a phone book. And that was a big deal, right? Because it fed my deficit mindset. And with excitement, right?
Sure.
I'm getting dopamine rushes as a little kid as I'm going through, oh, yeah. And I remember my mom saying she'd give us a pen, okay?
Circle.
And she'd say, circle the things that you want and then earmark the pages, okay?
And you're just hand her the whole catalog back. There you go.
That would be the deal. Like all of a sudden, my mom would get it back, and she'd see the whole thing earmarked. And again, remember, Santa Claus was buying all this anyway, so it was. I didn't think it was a big deal, right?
He's got endless money.
Yeah, exactly. And so that whole idea of deficit thinking, like I want, is trained up into us and rewarded. All right, and that desire, okay, that's really natural. But with maturity, I've got to understand what it does to me. Okay. And so, but now we have replaced, and this is where I am at today. We've replaced the catalog with our phone, with Google, with Amazon.
Yep.
I would like to tell you that I'm not a little kid looking through a catalog, but if you looked at my history, you would see I am scanning for all kinds of things I want. How about you? If I did your history search, come on now, and I don't want to hear anything about porn, because if I hear that, we're going down a different road.
You wouldn't, but lots of items, lots of things I can actually tenable, like actually hold on to them, tools, cars, silly little coffee mugs is what I've been looking at lately. Just like they have like funny slogans that I can, like I sent Jenny a picture of these coffee mugs, right? And I was thinking, how many times have you heard a guy say, the toy that I want to buy? I started thinking about this because when we talk about a mindset, I think part of that mindset displays out in the words we use. And I find it very, and don't get me wrong, I've used this exact phrase before, like what this is my new toy that I just bought, right? Whatever it is, the new tool I got. And I find it to be very kind of ironic, because when we talk about the mindset, we did a whole show on what's the difference, or what is that benchmark, that point in your life when you go from a boy to a man.
Right.
Boys play with toys, right? Naturally kids play with toys. And the problem is if we get stuck in this envious mindset, this bad attitude where I need to achieve, I need to get something in my life to make me happy, we fall into those boyish ways, because it is a toy, and toys break, toys have failures, toys don't fulfill those needs. And it's so funny to me that we get stuck in this, I got this toy, and we think that toy is going to make us happy when we're supposed to be an adult, right? We're supposed to know that toy is not going to be long-term happiness. It's not going to give us what we want.
It's a deficit mindset, right?
Absolutely, it is.
Like, I'm always working as if I'm half empty.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to become full, but I don't see that I can become full, because I always need something else to fill me.
And don't get me wrong, I still to this day I say the things like, "Man, look at my new toy," right? But I think it just plays into. I think it also plays into maybe big picture, not like getting all like theological here, but I also think it gets into just how society views men, that we because we do these things to ourselves. We say, oh, I need 5 cars. I need this tool. I need this bike to make me happy, right? And I think it plays into this idea. That's why society views men as children, right? How many times have you heard wives say, I have three adults, 2 of which are actual kids, 1 is an adult, right? And because we've done this to ourselves, we've fallen into this mindset that we can still act like a boy and not be a man, right? Not stepping up and doing the things we need to do to provide for our family. Like you, looking out for, you're thinking of your family, where I'm thinking of the next toy I can buy, right?
Yeah, and I'm still not even close to being there, but it's that, I do know guys who have, we both do, we know guys that have the dangerous part is when you had the financial resources to act like you can feed your deficit mindset. And so we see collections. I see the collections of things that people purchase, cars, homes, these kinds of things. I see relationships. This is where if I have a deficit mindset, I am chasing the next hot little woman that comes by me. That's a deficit mindset. I mean, I had a wife and a couple of kids. I had a family, and all of a sudden, there's something else that I think is going to complete me. And so, I don't. It's not about how much money you have, right? It's like this is a dangerous mindset, and it's dangerous because if you have the mindset and it becomes who you are, you will die in deficit because you can't quench it. You can't quench it. You will die in deficit. In other words, there will never be a point where you finally go, enough is enough. That hot-looking chick that you finally left your wife for to get to this new chick, within 7 to 8 years, we know that she is no longer appealing to you. Okay? And that's why that marriage, if it happens to a marriage, that marriage will most likely die. That's why second marriages tend to divorce at a 70% rate versus 50% for the first one. Okay? Because it's a deficit mindset that we haven't quite wrapped our head around. Like, crud, man. And now here I am, an 80-year-old man, and I've had 4 wives, and I've got kids all over, and I've got a garage or barn full of cars, and I'm wondering why I'm empty. All right. So I do want to read something that, when you read scripture, you kind of go, all right, well, whatever. I just read that and it rolls off of you. But this scripture just absolutely jumps out at me right here because this is what deficit is about. John 4:14. John 4:14 says, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. Deficit thinking puts us at eternal thirst. When we talk about people dying and going to hell, we talk about the description is that they're constantly thirsting. They're so hot, right? They're burning in the flames, and so they're just looking to be quenched. Please just put a drop of water on my tongue to quench my thirst for the instant. And that's kind of what hell starts to magnify out to be like. You're craving something that you can never get, right?
It's funny you say it because my mom says this a lot, but whenever you constantly asking for something, I want this, I want this, I want this. My mom always say, "Well, people in hell want ice water as well, right?"
That's right. That's right. That's an old one. Yeah.
Is that a?
Oh yeah, I've heard that forever. My dad was people in hell want ice water,
But going back to what you just read there in John, man, I think it's important to note. We were kind of just talking about this before. This idea of walking with Christ, that having that mindset that Christ will provide, right? You're not going to be thirsty in the sense of or you shouldn't be thirsty in the sense of always wanting something else, knowing that Christ will ultimately provide for you. I think it is important to note that we've said this multiple times, that even if you are walking with Christ, even if you have a relationship with Christ, it doesn't mean it's a carefree life, right? You can just
No.
that God. I mean, we do at our very core believe that Christ will take care of us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that there's not going to be hardships in your life. There's not going to be those times where you are envious of someone else, even though Christ is going to provide just for you. He's going to give you everything you need. It doesn't mean that you're not going to go through ruts of having bad attitudes. You're not going to go through ruts of being frustrated or being envious or jealous of other people. Obviously, Christ shows us a better way, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to stumble. At the end of the day, we are just men, right? We're flawed human beings. We fall into ruts. We have mistakes that we happen. But I think it's important to go back to this idea that at the end of the day, when you're laying in bed, to realize that everything that's happened for that day, God had His hand in it. Like he is in control, and I think it's important to always come back to that point. Even though we do stumble, we do fall, I think it's important to always come back to that.
Yeah, and we're going to get into how we come back to Christ on a more consistent, regular basis. Yep. Okay, that's the idea. Like this is never like all of a sudden, probably one day you wake up and you go from deficit mindset to feeling totally complete. Okay, this is our work in progress in terms of dying to ourselves. But here are phrases that I hear when I'm in coaching sessions and I'm starting to figure out, like, okay, where's this guy at? These are some typical phrases that I hear. And I'm just going to say some of these so that you can go, oh, yeah, that comes out of my mouth quite a bit. Or, okay, no, I'm pretty good. I'm not there. Like, I hear phrases like, there aren't enough hours in the day. All right. If I'm saying there aren't enough hours in the day, I'm believing that God created a messed up day, right? Like I'm in a deficit. There's not enough. Those people, excuse me. Oh, those people, they live in a mansion compared to our house. We get this a lot, right? Like when we drive through a wealthy neighborhood, if we're a middle class or lower class individual, if that's where we would characterize ourselves, and we drive through a wealthy neighborhood and we look at homes, think about what is going on inside of your head and your heart. Are you just drenched with envy? Are you like, oh yeah, these people, they probably inherited all this. Oh, these people, I wonder how much they pay on their taxes. In other words, you're trying to look at what they have and pull it down, all right, to your deficit. Okay. How about
this next one?
So this is that phrase that I can't repeat word for word like you did earlier. Same stuff, different day.
It's a 4-letter word. Starts with the S, ends with the T.
Same stuff, different day, right? This is deficit mindset. This is like the days are never going to change. It's the same old thing. Listen, I've used that phrase, and now I'm starting to realize, like, dude, that is of you. That is of you feeling you're like you are not content. You're not getting what you want. That's deficit mindset. How about this? Go ahead.
Boy. I was going to say someday when my ship comes, like, man, that's it. Like when I get mine, right? When it finally docks and I get mine, I think that's for sure something. I know the same stuff, different day. That's when I hear a lot of guys I work with. I've said that I'm sure once or twice before. There's other ones that see.
No, I'm going to call you out. You're going to try to qualify this, brother.
I bought my lottery ticket today.
Yeah. Like just the whole idea that I buy a lottery ticket is of deficit mindset. Yeah. Now again, I buy lottery tickets, so I'm calling us all out. Like the whole idea that I'm dreaming for something that I don't have. Yeah. Right. And
I think it falls into that, that this idea that for whatever reason in America, we at least think money buys happiness.
Right. Yeah.
And as the song says, it does buy a boat.
Yeah, but it does buy a boat. How about this one? I'm going to skip down here a little bit. The whole idea of, and this is something that I did not really recognize until probably about 15 to 20 years ago. I grew up with the idea that if you work hard, you will get paid eventually for that. The mindset started to change, at least that I noticed probably 15 or so years ago. I will work hard when they start paying me. Right? So the idea that I'm not going to give anything until I'm paid. That whole idea, you're just going to leave yourself stuck then. Right? You are in a deficit, and you don't realize that you're the one who could get yourself out.
Which I think that falls into this idea of that again. You need a reward, or you need an actual like monetary value to make yourself feel value in your work. Where if you just find value in the actual idea of working and not so much of the monetary value, which is a hard thing to do. Don't be wrong. Right. I mean, most of us work because we have to pay for things, right? We have to provide for our family. But I think when you start to put a actual monetary like item, an actual value next to your work, I think you're missing the idea of work itself.
Right. Exactly. And it'll never be enough, right? In terms of if the value is just the money.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna flip now. Okay, so we've talked about identifying deficit mindsets, what deficit mindsets look like in terms of how you live them out. They turn you into the grumpy old man, frustration, leading into attitudes, negative attitudes. All right, so here is the remedy, okay? And this is huge. And this, I do not want this to come off as this is pie in the sky thinking, all right? Yep. No, that's not at all. This is a practice. So we want to start to learn to move from deficit mindset to abundant mindset.
Yep.
Right? To abundant mindset. So abundant mindset is that whole idea that you have an abundance of everything you need and looking at it that way, right? And it starts with the idea of a level of thankfulness. A level of thankfulness of you knowing that what you have right now is exactly what you need. All right. that whole idea of me seeing, like, you will see this all the time. You'll see this all the time. We just had a huge outbreak of tornadoes down in the Midwest, all right, through Kentucky and Tennessee. And I've watched some of those interviews, and you will see how abundant mindset is the only way that these people start to survive. They go through and they look at their house and it's obliterated. They've got nothing and they're crying, right? I mean, that has been crazy down there. Okay.
So crazy.
And all of a sudden they'll come up with this, I got my house is gone, my car, everything, my yard, everything's gone, but I got my family. I am thanking God I've got my family.
Yep.
They have had, in order to survive and find a nugget of hope, they had to switch to abundant thinking, abundant mindset, because it's what sustains them.
Yeah.
If they looked at this, even if my family's sitting right here next to me and I got all this done and I go, I got nothing, that diminishes the most valuable things that you have in your life.
Yeah.
And so in difficult times, severely difficult times, people will be forced to abundant thinking in order to survive. If they don't, they'll die. They will emotionally die because there's no hope.
Yep.
There's no hope. And so our deal here is to start to practice what would abundant mindset look like compared to the deficit mindset that I've been nurturing over the years?
Yep. Well, I think it's important to talk, when we talk about this idea of abundant life, outside of a massive tragedy similar to what we were talking about in Kentucky, that mindset is not going to be shifted overnight.
Right.
Obviously, those guys in Kentucky, those families dealing with that, there's an immediate, there's a trigger there, right? It does happen essentially overnight. But for the majority of us that have not gone through a similar tragedy to that, man, that mindset of going, that deficit mindset into abundant mindset, I don't know about you guys, but I work with people currently that are stuck in this deficit mindset, and they've been in it for so stinking long. There's guys who have been around the job for so long. And it's like, man, if that's what I look like in 20 years, I'm not gonna. That doesn't look happy, right? I know we can all relate to those people. We can almost call them out by name. And the problem is if we think it's going to change overnight, and then we don't see the change, then we get stuck back into the negative attitude, and then we become those very people that we said we didn't want to become. So I think it's important a good starting place is to say, man, it takes years and years and years to get in a truly deficit mindset. It's going to take a long time to get out of that rut. It's going to take some time to get into the abundant that mindset. I know I shared a while ago, I was in a rut, right? I was in that deficit mindset, and I took 40 days to try and get away from that.
Yeah.
I needed
intentionally, right?
Intentionally, yes.
Intentional.
This is something enough people, you called me out, Merle. Like, enough people had to say, like, enough is enough. Like, all right, we've griped and complained, because I think that plays into it. That where you just, again, same stuff, different day, right? And you get in this rut. Man, it took 40 days for me to kind of cleanse myself and realize, man, I have a lot of good in my life. I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 kids. I have a lot to be thankful for, right? And it took 40 days just to wash over a couple months of negative mindset. So when you start to look at that years and years and years of that deficit mindset, it's gonna take a long time to get out of that rut.
Yeah, for sure. But I like that what you did is you intentionally.
Yeah.
So you had to call it out. You had to grab it by the throat versus stumbling over it one day and maybe seeing it. Like you brought it right to attention and you grabbed it. And so here's some things. If you have found yourself, man, I'm identifying myself as one of these guys with some deficit issues here. Okay. So here are some things that we look at. I want to look at my environment. I want to look at the people that I'm around. All right. I want to look at how I spend my time. I want to look at those things because I need to assess, like I have some people in my life that are like we call the negative Nellies, right? Those are those people they're always down. But I have very few of those nowadays. I have very few. And that's by design. I don't want to be around that garbage because I know I can be sucked into it.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, I have 2 guys, and I will call them out because they are a gift to us, a guy by the name of Jim and a guy by the name of Frank. I don't care how bad the storm seems to hit them. They will quickly go to the blessing that they see in the storm. And they're not phony. They're older men, and I've been around them many years.
We had him on
now.
our show.
We had Frank on the show, and Jim. I worked with Jim for years, and I mean, Jim has gone through some tragedy, let me tell you. Okay, and he right away goes to the abundance that he has in his life. And I mean, for years I went like, oh, this guy can't be real. Like, you have permission to not be happy, I would want to say that. And his wiring was not of that. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait to go talk to these guys because they make me think differently. They don't allow me to sit in my deficit. Okay. So we want to look at those people and we want to gravitate towards the abundant mindset people, even if they drive us crazy initially. Right. Oh, yeah. And again, this is not Pollyanna, everything's just wonderful. Okay. This is people being real, but saying, you know what? I know this kind of stinks because we acknowledge the realness of that. But hey, how are we going to get through it? What's good about it? The house just got blown over, but I got my kids and dog right here. Right. Okay. That's where my focus is. Okay.
Yep. When you talk about that environment, I think it's maybe the easy way out to remove yourself from that environment, to find something different. If you're in an environment, if you're around a bunch of people who are in this deficit mindset and you're trying to make change, you're trying to make tangible change in your life to get to that abundant mindset, and you're around people that are negative, it's very difficult, right? And I think the easy way is to remove yourself from that environment. But man, why can't we begin to make those changes like you were talking about with those two, with Frank and Jim? Like that can be us. We can begin to make changes because if people truly are a product of their environment, you can become that environment that actually can change the mindset of other people, which as Christ followers, we are called to look different, right? People should know that we look a little bit different. And again, this is, maybe far-fetched for some people to think, but I truly do believe, man, if you're in a place, if you're in an environment that is not good for you, like mentally, I think you at least, before you go jump to the conclusion of again, the grass is greener, I'll put myself in a different environment,
right,
I'll change. I think a good starting place is to make your own personal mindset. Again, it's gonna be it's an uphill battle, right? Because especially if you're in an environment that is negative, it's gonna be an uphill battle. But I don't think that Christ ever calls us to just remove ourselves from that because it's hard. I think we should still be in that. Try it. I'm saying long term, it may not be a fit. You may eventually come to the conclusion where you have to remove yourself from that, and I get that. But man, let's try and make a change for yourself and see what that can do for your environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that speaks to the strength of the character, right? If I'm a strong enough light and I believe in what I'm doing, I can stay in that darker environment and I can be the one who starts to shine light. Yeah. But that can be really hard, right? Like
very hard,
if I'm even still questioning myself and my light is not all that bright, it's pretty easy to snuff that light in the dark environment. So I have to do that assessment, right? So, when we talk about this, I want to be really aware of how, if this has been a 20-plus year, this has been an ongoing deficit mindset that I've grown into, we can start to think that this is who we are, right? Oh, well, it's just take me or leave me. This is what I'm about. And I will tell you that this is not at all that way. This is very much a learned and practiced behavior, okay? Yep. And it is changeable, but it is only changeable through intention, okay? And it starts with that whole idea of us becoming aware of it. An example, I'd like to compare it to like a foul language, cussing, okay?
Oh, boy.
The idea, like, hey, I grew up with a lot of cussing, okay? It was where I worked with my dad in his shop. I mean, we were dropping all kinds of stuff, okay? And I did that all the way through teaching through the high school level and all of that. Nothing had changed. And then I got a job at an elementary school. And let me tell you, that first 6 months was like, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't even know if I remembered how to talk because I had to catch myself in that environment of not cussing. Yeah. Right. Not just around the kids. That was never really my issue, but around the teachers. Like, those teachers were not foul-mouthed teachers at the elementary. Yeah. Most of them were ladies. They were not foul-mouthed. And I got called out on it. My principal called me out like, you're not at the high school in the coach's office. I need you to back off on your language. And I was like, who, me? But at that point, she called me out. And at that point, I started like thinking, like I'd catch myself.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about here. Like when I use phrases like same stuff, different day, I want to catch myself, because to me, I want to treat that like a cuss word. Okay. And I want to grab that and I want to say, nope, that's not what I'm going to be about. I can't go down that road. All right. So you can start catching yourself and then flip it. So that's what I had to do. I had to create a whole new language for myself, right? I wasn't used to saying an appropriate word. I was used to saying a cuss word. So I had to stop myself, and then I had to search for the right word. So deficit mindset goes the same way. I have to stop the thought that's coming through my head and the words coming out of my mouth, and I have to replace it, and I have to find replaceable language, okay? And that language is all in thanks and gratitude, all right? That idea that I will see the light in the dark, okay? That's what I have to practice.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, man, this has to be worth it to you. This has to be something where you do that self-evaluation. You realize that you are stuck in that deficit mindset. Man, because if you're in that mindset of woe is me, that this is just mine, this is where I'm at, honestly, and you know, I'm a nobody, right? But I think at one point you're gonna wake up and your wife's not gonna be there, because most women don't want to be around negative, right? And that's a very generalized statement, and most men don't want to be around a negative woman, right?
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways. But man, I think if you don't realize the gravity of your mindset and your attitude that you portray out to other people, man, if you have multiple people that just don't want to be around you, that are just when you come to a party, you're kind of just sitting by yourself and no one really wants to be around you, or worse yet, everybody wants to be around you because they want to feed into your negativeness and your negativity that you have, and then it is become that complete environment. Man, I just think the gravity of our mindset as men leading our family, I think is sky high. Because we're going to raise kids that have a similar mindset. We're going to raise kids that's what they're seeking. They know that comfort almost, right? They've been in an environment for so long that is who they think they are, and then they seek other people who have negative mindsets that are in that deficit mindset. And that's again, that generational effect. It's a long-term effect that we're going to raise kids that are going to have a similar mindset, that are not going to be abundant, that they realize the blessings that God has given them, that they realize that God is what's going to give them that ultimate thirst, like that's going to quench that thirst. And again, it might be for some of you guys out there that might be, you know, myself included, sometimes it's like, okay, that's all well and good that Jesus will provide. I know He will. And then you fall back into that manly mindset, right? That like, well, I'll make sure it happens. And it's just going to our knees and realizing that although we want to be in control, we want to be behind that steering wheel, right? We have to realize that there's a bigger that God is ultimately in control. And again, I know it's easy to say and another thing to do, but I just think the gravity of this mindset is huge. It really it is sky high.
Yeah, I just had to ask one question. What do you think God thinks when we live in a deficit mindset? You know, what me functioning in a deficit mindset says what to God? It says really that, honestly, I'm just, this is how I came to this idea of like, so me working in deficit mindset is basically me not having faith in God. That's what it is. Like, I don't really, I mean, I say I believe in God and I believe that God's going to carry me, but I'm always feeling like I'm in want. I'm feeling like I'm in need. And that is basically spitting in God's face. Like, no, I really must not believe it. And so deficit mindset, and when I boil it all down to it, it is very difficult to be a Christian living your faith and also living in a deficit mindset. They're incompatible, right? So this is, when we boil it down, a test of our faith. If I truly believe God is who He says He is, then I have no reason to live in a deficit mindset day after day.
Yep. I think it's the long term.
Yeah,
Right.
we're going to have a day where I wake up and go, oh, I need this today. Okay, yeah. You go get it, you take care of it, you quench it, you do what you need to do for survival, for livability, and then you move on. But when I'm stuck there, when I'm living the pattern of chasing, then I'm really kind of just diminishing what God is.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. I hope you guys are in this with us. I hope you realize the importance of getting out of this deficit mindset and let's turning it into a positive. Let's get into that abundant mindset. Man, just a call out to our guys, ourselves included, like, let's start today. Let's make that actual, you are making the decision in your mind, today is enough. Like, enough is enough. I need to get myself out of this mindset. I'm gonna throw it to the wayside, and we're gonna move forward. We're gonna do whatever it takes, whether that means, seeking counsel from other people, whether that means, you talk to your wife about it. Hey, I need to get out of this rut. I need you to come alongside with me, hold me accountable for that. Talk to your kids. Like, if you have older kids that maybe they start to notice that stuff, or you start to see that mindset in your kids, man, enough is enough. We have to stop that, because again, the gravity of this situation is sky high.
Yeah, I like what you just said there. A simple practice is at the dinner table, and many families already do this. Everybody go around the table, tell me one thing you're thankful for today. The practice of being thankful and purposefully looking for what is good or a blessing that day, purposely doing that. Because if I'm not wired that way, I'll look for what went bad today, right? So the practice of, hey kids, all right, everybody, tell me, what are you thankful for today? What happened really that was cool or a blessing today?
Yep.
All right, hey, we got to wrap it up.
Yep.
We want to thank you guys. We want to thank all you strong dads out there for buckling down and being the man that big dad calls us to be. We want to thank you guys because, I work with so many guys, and I sometimes I'm surprised. One of these days I'm going to get punched in the mouth. All right, when I'm in a session, and I go, dude, like, stop being a boy. I need you to be a man. Your family is crying for you right now, and so that does not always land well. But that's exactly what this show is about, of strong dads. Like, we've got to call men out to be strong for the sake of our family and our next generation. So we want to thank you guys. Continue to listen and spread this message, share this message out, give us our 5-star ratings, whatever it takes to elevate our show on the search engine so that this is not a mystery.
Love it. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for Crimer's Beer House and Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Check them out. Let them know we sent you down there. We really do appreciate them. Allows us to continue doing these shows. Check out Rock Solid Families if you guys have needs in your personal life. If you have needs for your family, for your marriage, man, check them out. I know Merle and Linda would love to come alongside of you and be able to speak truth. And it's not Merle and Linda's truth. It is straight from the gospel. That is the truth that they use to guide their coaching. So check them out. And we really do appreciate you guys. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.